Lusternia, Age of Ascension presents Ask Estarra.
Hi guys, it's time for another Ask Estarra. As you know, this segment is pretty well contingent on you, the players, submitting video questions and linking them in the appropriate forum thread for Estarra to review and respond to. However, you may have noticed lately Cthulhu's trying to break out from the Nine Seals again, so Estarra's been kind of busy lately. In light of that, she's let us take over and field these questions from these two incredibly intelligent, handsome people that we've received. So, why don't we get started?
Hi, Estarra. I know there hasn't been an Ask Estarra in a while, so I thought I have some questions. I could make a video, put it up, maybe get them answered. These are all related to the Lusternian, Divine Pantheon, so I hope you don't mind. I hope you can answer them. If you can't, that's fine, I understand. First, I'd like to know who your favorite god is. If you weren't the creatrix, if you were just a player like us, which god do you think is the coolest? Whose order would you join? Maybe not cool, maybe whose philosophy is, is the most interesting, I suppose.
If you're asking me, my favorite god would probably be Morgfire. Because Morgfire is fantastic. He's got such a complex storyline and just such a great personality or personalities to work with that just, I think, makes him one of the most complex and interesting god characters out there right now. In terms of philosophy, I suppose saying Morgfire would make me sound a little unhinged. I sort of like Lyrith's idea of basically doing unto others what you would have them do unto you, because I do think that holds true in a lot of things.
And then, if there are any, of the gods that aren't released yet that we see in the Elder Wars books, which do you think would be the coolest to see, in the game?
Drusilla. Definitely Drusilla. Or maybe Mantiken. I'm a little biased here. I have a thing for the bad guys, but either one of them, Mantiken's got such a thumbprint on Glomdering and Frostisia, and, even this last event with the Frostspite, who is a Wendigo. So he's definitely got a lot invested in the world of Lusternia, even though he hasn't to date been around to actively take part in it. Drusilla, similarly, I think, would make for a very interesting, intriguing character to have to deal with in real time, as opposed to just having to read about her in the histories. So I think seeing either one of them would be really, really cool, personally.
Related to that, we haven't seen any, new gods in Mag or Celeste or Glomdring, and by new I mean Horacle new or Misrai new. The only gods that we've seen so far, that we've had so far, are ones that we've had for a while. So I don't know, I was just thinking it'd be really cool to have a female Magnagoran god, or I'd really like to see a male Gaudi Gachun god, for instance. And I don't know if you can disclose that kind of information, but a hint would be cool to see who's coming next, and when we'll probably get to see it, him or her.
Who's coming next? I can't tell you. Really and truly, a lot of what informs who is coming next and when they're coming is determined by an ephemeral's progress in their assigned duties. As Estarra has said before, there's this sort of crucible of learning that ephemerals have to go through that, entails learning how to create rooms for the game, how to create mobiles, how to program them for quests, how to handle issues, how to review designs, and on and on and on and on. There's just so much that an ephemeral has to learn to get sort of a handle on being an admin before they can take a god roll and go public with that god roll. So when they come out is largely contingent on how quickly they can learn, how much time they have to devote to this process, because it is a pretty lengthy process. And who they become is usually determined by the ephemeral themselves, with a little bit of input from Estarra, because again, as she has said before, administrators who play god roles that they have no sympathy for or no interest in burn out a heck of a lot faster than someone who loves their role and their niche in the game and really likes what they're doing. You know, we may or may not have a couple of ephemerals up here with god ideas, but you'll have to wait and see for that one.
Kind of related to that, like I said, these questions are all about Lusternia Divine. We've had a lot of insight recently on the thoughts of, like, the volunteer staff through the God blogs, and I find them incredibly fascinating. Like, I've learned a lot just from reading their thoughts and, like, their ideas. And I was wondering if is it at all possible to have God versions of Ask Estarra, because I know we have, like, a lot of questions for the gods, like, that are specific to them, and it'd be really cool to see what they have to say on it.
No, I'm sorry. Estarra has said that the Elder Gods cannot do video responses to your questions, so whatever you do, do not submit video questions for us to answer. Please, 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 please.
And finally, I have a really silly question for you, Estarra. If I were to make a dating simulation game, with some of the Lusternian Divine as love interests, would you play it?
Lusternia dating sim. Yeah, I would play a Lusternia dating sim. I would date the heck out of a Lostian.
And that's all. That's all I wanted to ask. Thank you for your time, Estarra, and I hope you have a great day.
So that's it for this person. Asked some really good questions, and it's nice to be able to answer them and hopefully give you guys a little bit more insight into a couple of different aspects.
I'll be answering the questions for the next video clip. I apologize ahead of time for the buzz in the background, if there is any. That would be my desktop going. Anyway, on to the questions.
Hi, Estarra. I just had a few questions I wanted to ask. My first question was regarding the histories. Lusternia has got such great lore behind it. One of my favorites being the history of the Taint Wars. We know that some people, most notably maybe Ladentine, have survived since then into modern times. Well, kind of, since he's undead. But I was wondering if it's possible that anyone else from his generation has made it into the modern era, either in the form of an undead or spirit form or what. Just because I've always thought that'd be kind of maybe interesting to see, you know, some sort of conflict from that era that wasn't necessarily the polar antagonism between Magnagora and New Celeste.
Off the top of my head, I can think of Healy Goldfeather in the Grey Wars. And he's also undead, so I don't know if that answers your question entirely. If there's anyone else, I don't believe we've released them or released any information about them. So for that, you'll have to wait and see.
The second question I had was regarding ephemerals. I know we sometimes have some administrative turnover when a god goes away or comes back or whatever. How long does it usually take for an ephemeral to get to the point of achieving a god character from when they actually become an ephemeral? Does it usually just take a couple months if somebody's really good, or does it take longer, a couple of weeks? And if that's the case, once they do reach that point, do they get to choose their own god character, or are they sort of assigned based on, you know, an org that maybe doesn't have as many active divine?
It really depends on the ephemeral. I know that some of the gods now, they finished in, I'd say maybe 3 to 4 months. Around, that's kind of average. 4 to 6 months is an average time for ephemerals. There are some who take a year or more, though if an ephemeral hasn't progressed much in their first project in the first year, then they're usually asked to step down. Some ephemerals do step down for, like, real life reasons, and then come back later, and they become gods. I know that that's what some of our gods did. As for their god character, well, usually an ephemeral comes up with an idea of what god they want to be, or no idea at all, and that changes over the course of their time here with us. basically, obviously, they get assigned to different orgs, and they get to see what goes on in Celeste versus what goes on in, like, Glomdring versus what goes on in Gaudigut. So they get to basically sample different kinds of lore and RP in the different organizations before they become a god. What happens at the end is they finish their projects, and Estarra will talk to them, asking them generally, like, what their idea is for a god, and whether or not they are interested in filling this god role in case we have some roles that need filling, such as right now we don't have a lot of Serenwild gods, but we have a lot of Magnagoran gods, so we may ask an ephemeral to lean towards Serenwild or say towards Halifax in case they have any interest so that we can fill those roles. However, it is a matter of what god role an ephemeral will be really happy with, because obviously we're all volunteers and we want to maximize volunteer happiness as well as player happiness. The volunteer who enjoys their time working for Lusternia will work more, and their output will be better than an administrator who is not happy with their god role. I guess it's a mix between what the game needs and what the administrator would enjoy.
My third question is actually your opinion. We have a lot of events in Lusternia, and I think across all the Iron Realms, our event board is one of the biggest, just because there's always something happening or something about to happen. What's your favorite event that we've ever done that that you just maybe think back on notably as a particular success, or a really fun one, or one that really gave a lot to the game, in your opinion?
Well, this is obviously a question for Estarra, who has been here since the beginning of the game. I have not, but my favorite event, I'm trying to think, wow, this is difficult. I guess it was when that one huge beast, Kyrsi, or some kind of, I don't know how to pronounce things, the beast invaded Lusternia and, like, started digging everywhere, and, went to all the orgs and tried to find something, and everyone tried to attack it, and, in the end, what happened was, suddenly, Shikari came back. It was super cool. I thought it was a really great event, personally.
And my last question is, well, what's the one question that you really, really wish that you would get asked on a program like this, and what would be your answer to it?
What kind of a question is that? I'm gonna answer it as I would answer it, because obviously Star's not here. I wish I was asked if I would play a dating sim, because I would. But I wouldn't date a lost gem, because that's kind of... How would you hold hands? How would you hug? No, I would probably date, Charun. He's so dreamy.
And that's all I've really got right now. So thanks very much for making this game, because I think it means a lot to a lot of people, and it's a great way to spend your time. So thank you very much, and I hope you keep having fun with it and coming up with great stuff.
Anyway, that's all for questions. If you guys have questions, then make a video like this and put it up on YouTube, and then link it to the forum thread. That's basically the Ask Estarra forum thread. And if you have questions for Estarra, obviously address them to her. But if you like, now you can address the gods. There's no chance that we'll actually answer, because some of us are actually really busy with real life stuff like work and school. But for those of us who have the free time, then we may be able to put out answer videos for you. I know I certainly would enjoy it, and other administrators would enjoy it as well. Ask away. Anyway, back to the game. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you around.